Welcome to ROCKCOTE TV.
In this video, you will learn how to repair cracking in ROCKCOTE Marrakesh.
With the Marrakesh, in some cases when it's applied, with movement, especially in a new build, what can happen is the house starts to settle and you'll get very fine hairline cracking coming to Marrakesh where the property's moving. So you'll find that these cracks will normally come through in corners and areas as the house is settling down over time. You'll get these fine hairline cracks. Now, as a general rule with a fine hairline crack in Marrakesh, it's not a major issue. Moisture still won't penetrate through, but if the crack opens too far, then you can get penetration of moisture in behind the Marrakesh. So what we can do is by using the Venetian plaster as a putty, as a line putty, we can patch the crack so it then becomes completely hidden. So once it dries back, you won't even notice that there was a crack there. Sometimes we could get fine cracking can cause through the product drying out too fast. If it gets direct sunlight onto it, for example, in a small section coming through a window, or if there's a lot of heat in the room, it can pull that moisture a little bit fast. And when that happens, we can find you get very fine hairline cracking come through the Marrakesh as well. It's a lot more noticeable when you get it wet. So if this was in a shower recess on the walls, it could look perfectly fine, and then as soon as it gets water and wetness onto it, it will actually stand out where those cracks are. It can still be fixed with the Venetian, but once again it depends on how wide that crack is. If it's a couple of mil wide, you really want to try and figure out what's causing that. Normally anything wider you can actually use Marrakesh by mixing up the same colour and using some of the fat off the system, and that will actually help fill those wider cracks. But for the general fine hairline, the Venetian's the best way to go. Well, Venetian is a lime putty, so we're actually adding that in to speed up the healing process of the lime or the Marrakesh in its own right, because lime is a self-healing product. So we're just speeding that up to get that crack to knit back together properly. Marrakesh itself, because of the size of the stone that's in Marrakesh, it's got about a 2 mil stone in there. Trying to fill a fine crack with a 2 mil stone, you're going to get a higher build up there. So the Venetian being a very fine putty, we can actually push in to the crack and seal it up that way. The main tools you need to repair a crack in Marrakesh using your Venetian is make sure you use your plastic trowel only, not your stainless steel. The plastic's got a little bit more flex, so it will actually push that in without slicing the Venetian straight back off the wall. So it'll push the putty into the crack a lot more, and so it's just a far better system. So your plastic, Japanese or Namakeshi plastic trowel, a sponge, and a little bit of water and some Venetian, and that's all you need to do a patch or a repair. You want your Venetian to be tinted to the same colour as your Marrakesh, so that way you don't get any variances. If it is slightly off colour, what can happen is you'll get a vein will come through where that crack was. So it may look a little darker, a little bit lighter in that crack. So in some cases we've had people who have done this and actually highlighted those cracks to create small veins running through their Marrakesh, which is quite acceptable. But tinting it close to the same colour or the same colour, you'll actually get it where it becomes an invisible crack. Basically, as you can see at the moment, there's a very fine hairline crack down through here. It is important to wet it first, because what you'll find by wetting those cracks is it'll actually peak the crack up, so the crack will open up a little bit for the moisture. So while it's still wet, I get a small amount of Venetian plaster just up onto my plastic trowel, and just by keeping my trowel quite high, I'm cutting that in, and I actually will just fill that Venetian plaster into those cracks, which is closing them up. So the crack will open up a little bit for the moisture, and that way, as that crack's open, you can actually fill it a lot easier, and then when it dries, it closes it back down, which encapsulates the Venetian plaster inside it and closes it up so it will disappear. So as you can see, it's the Venetian's starting to dry and it's leaving white marks. So all we do again is I just take my sponge and just gently wipe over that surface, just taking any of that excess out So I'm not pushing hard onto the surface because I don't actually want to remove the Venetian that's embedded into the crack, but I'm just taking any dull sections of it out, and that's it. I'll just let that dry, and when that dries it will close right back up, and then you'll find that you won't have any visible cracking at all on that surface. So it's very, very fine. You could see where the wider cracks have actually accepted some of that Venetian at the moment, and that's now going to close down and disappear. And that's all you really need to do to repair a crack in your Marrakesh. So as that dries off, it will completely disappear, and then you won't notice any variance at all or any fine cracking in there. So it is the easiest way that we've found. If it is drying off and if you've missed a little bit of Venetian and you want to clean that off, just a little bit more water on there and that'll just take it off. But the more that dries back out, the less cracking you're actually going to notice. It'll dry out completely invisible. And that's the easiest way of repairing cracks in Marrakesh. If you can see at the moment, there's a little bit of residue, flat residue left on that surface. All you need to do with that is just a clean cloth, and that is just like a powder, and that will actually just rub out, and that puts your shine back on there. It is always a good thing to do is to re-black soap your surface after that, but you'll want to let this fully dry before you black soap it. Depending on the area and how much you've done, but roughly about an hour before you black soap it.
Please refer to the ROCKCOTE TV video series for more information on black soaping your Marrakesh. If you would like more information about ROCKCOTE Marrakesh or our natural materials range, please contact us on our toll-free number or send us an email.